everyone. Welcome back to our second summary video of our project Flourishing Families, where we organize a session for family members of students and young adults with mental challenges to have like a open communication on certain topic that relates to what the students or young adults with mental challenges face each day. So for this, from our March session, which held on March 17th, we talk about diagnosis doesn't predict prognosis, holding hope. So we talk about like how mental challenges can have like a certain like stigma to it, and also parents or like family members may feel like there's a wide range of prognosis that make them feel intimidating, or it is daunting for their family members to going through that. And it is very challenging indeed to prepare for what some of the unknown from it as well. So today, joining me are Paul and Connie, who are our staff at their center and also our panelists for this month conversation. And they will share you how family members can help supporting their students or their young adults to going through in their recovery journey with hope.
Thanks, Juan, and thank you all that were able to join last week. And for those of you that weren't, hopefully you can learn a little bit from today's quick summary. I think one of the things that was talked about a lot in the meeting on March 17th was what do we do with our students when they're feeling completely hopeless? And this was kind of really right in the title of this Flourishing Families event, how to kind of hold hope for our students when maybe they are feeling that way. I think it's important in the Flourishing Families that we can communicate and we can connect with each other and give each other like actual practical tips and strategies that we can use. And one of the strategies that we talked about in the meeting was how to hold hope for our students. So say your student is feeling hopeless around a certain situation. I think from a parent's perspective, from a family member's, a friend, anyone, it's okay that they're feeling that way. I think we want to be able to validate them and how they're feeling. For instance, you might say something like, I can tell that you're feeling really overwhelmed, you're really frustrated, you're feeling hopeless. And it's okay to be feeling that way. However, I'm hopeful for you, and I just want to say, here's why, right? And as the support member or family member, we can simply just point out some actual concrete things that we have seen from our student by simply saying, despite everything that's going on, you still continue to work, you're determined, you're motivated, you have gotten some, really good grades despite maybe some challenging ones, you continue to thrive socially, whatever you need to kind of pull out from their strengths. Not only say it to them and reflect it back to them, because sometimes when maybe we're feeling hopeless or upset emotionally, words can kind of be said to us and they just kind of bounce off, right? We don't actually take it all in. So verbalize it. And then what I like to do, kind of an easy concrete tip, write them down, make those strengths, make that hope come to life, even if it's just on a piece of paper. Post it on the fridge, especially if you're living with your student perhaps, or maybe put it in an email and send it to the student in an email, maybe the next day or something like that. And again, you can reiterate, I know you're feeling upset, I know you're feeling hopeless, here's why I'm hopeful for you. Because you're incredibly intellectual, because you're motivated, because you're determined, because despite all the challenges, you continue to work hard. And that is why I'm hopeful for you. And eventually, I think the student will be able to hear those words, to hear those strengths, to recognize that hope and be able to take it back for themselves. So it's we're kind of holding that hope for them when they're not able to maybe hold it for themselves. And again, I love the making it come to life, writing it down, putting it somewhere. So it's not just kind of words in the air, but actually the student can see it, whether it's that night or in the future as well.
That's excellent wisdom, Paul. And something tangible that we can sink our teeth into. I think something else we heard along those lines is knowing that it's not time bound necessarily. You don't hold hope for a week or a month, and it's ongoing. But we do know that a student's diagnosis does not predict who they are, who they will be, what they're able to achieve, and assuming the roles that they want to. Another sort of the flip side of the conversation we had last week was on the power of language and how we are presenting to students perhaps some negative realities wherein maybe we want to hold hope, and yet it seems a little bit that the goal or the path that a student is presenting feels really overambitious. We're kind of worried that it's too big too soon, or sort of what I like to say, 0 to 100, a little too fast and maybe too not appropriately challenging. And we worry about that. And at the same time, we want to hold hope that there is room for challenge, there is room for growth. But the power of language in that, again, Paul, to your point, offering a strengths-based conversation, inviting the observations that, it's been a couple of semesters since you've gone to school. And when you say you want to go back full-time in the fall to a university that wasn't a good fit a couple of years ago, I worry, and then, and allowing that to be okay also, that there's room for full conversation about everyone's feelings at the table. I'm hopeful for you, I'm excited with you, and I want to share with you, I have some concerns. And again, to the point of strategies, it might be nice for the family, so if it's a parent or family member and the student, to collectively design a list or generate a list of maybe 10 things that the student will have in place in the way of skills, supports, resources, 10 observable factors in place. Independently managing medication could be an example, or waking up before 10, whatever, it's very individualized, but a couple of things you can start to maybe, again, in a public space like the fridge, cross off what's being done and what's sort of the personalized indicators of readiness that actually I am feeling good. We're all feeling good in this unit, in this family, and as a team, that it's a good idea for you to go back, and allowing that list and the students' choices along the way to guide the next steps.
And that's a great point, Courtney, too, just to kind of add on to that list that you're talking about, those maybe smaller goals to lead up to maybe a bigger decision, a family decision, is going to be able to kind of guide that conversation. And it doesn't have to feel like, as the family member, the support member, that you're saying no to something, but you can point out to something, again, concrete, to say, here's what we said would help you succeed in this next step. And we're also seeing that these things aren't happening. So how are you going to succeed at your future step or the college that you plan to go to? But we're also seeing that none of these 10 steps, or maybe only half of them, are in place, right? So we can kind of go back to the power of language and say, we're not saying no, we're not saying you can't do it, but we're saying you need to kind of advocate for yourself and kind of show me that you can do it, because right now we're not seeing it happen. To it, I think it lends itself to a better kind of two-way conversation, a collaborative conversation, an open and honest communication about potential next steps, and how you can set your student, your family member up for success as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Paul and Connie, for the summary. I think like that really embody our conversation that we have, which through holding hope, I think like family members can support their young adult with mental challenges or students by emphasizing on the use of language that put emphasis on the strength and working collaborative with the individual themselves. Okay, and once again, thank you everyone who were able to join us on this session. And if not, we hope to see you at our next session in April, which will be held on April 21st. Our next session, we will talk about summer plans, creating belonging over breaks. It will be held on April 21st at 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Feel free to join us. The registration is free through our Eventbrite, which is flourishingfamilies.eventbrite.com. Thank you, and we hope to see you next time.